Good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 6 of the Legacy Leadership Journey. We are doing this daily devotional, Legacy Leadership Wisdom of the Apostle Paul. On day 6, we are on a new section, part 1, Affirming but Not Content. So we'll read through the devotional here together. I'll pause if anything strikes me, and if there's kind of any thoughts that come along with it, I will pause and just reflect on them. Anything that seems challenging or extra important, I'll try to pause and point it out again. But otherwise, this is just an audio file for you guys to listen to in the convenience of your own weekend. Since it's Saturday, about 6 in the morning here, I'm looking forward to seeing you all this weekend at church, and I hope you're looking forward to having a great weekend. Let's get started. Day 6, Affirming but Not Content, Part 1. An important aspect of the legacy leadership process is the affirmation of a person's character and the appreciation of their individual contributions. Paul was exuberant in expressing his passionate love and appreciation for those he had the privilege of leading. He thanked God every time he remembered the Philippians, the Colossians, and the Thessalonians. He referred to them as his joy, his crown, and his glory in Philippians 4:1 and 1 Thessalonians 2:19 and 20. He affirmed their faith, their love, and their hope. He acknowledged the love of their spirit in their lives, their good works, and the impact they had for Jesus' sake in their immediate communities and beyond. Paul was affirmational, but he was not content. His opening prayer for the Philippians, he prayed that their love would abound still more and in real knowledge and in all discernment, so that you may approve the things that are excellent, in order to be sincere and blameless until the day of Christ. Philippians 1, verses 9 and 10. The Lord had begun a good work in their lives, and Paul was pleased with their growth, but he prayed that their love and joy would grow even more. It's pretty interesting because here's a man who is so appreciative of these groups of people, but he's not willing to sit back and say what we're doing is enough per se. We're happy with your growth, but there's more to come. And I think that's the same with those that we lead in our neighborhood groups. We see small steps being made, and while we need to celebrate and pause and reflect with the folks we're leading and help them understand how awesome it is, the progress they're making, we need to also pray with them about their next steps, always helping them see the path, not see the path, but look forward, look towards the path as Christ reveals the path with his light. Then at least you're focused on looking forward to always improving and always growing. And as leaders, I think it's our job to help our folks, help them stay focused and prevent complacency. Continuing on. He commended the Thessalonians for their faith, love, and hope, the 3 marks of authentic Christ followers. That was in our last couple days where we were talking about appreciation. And in this example, Paul was very appreciative of the Thessalonians for their faith, love, and hope, the 3 marks of authentic Christ followers. Yet he was not content, and he refused to allow them to become complacent. In 1 Thessalonians 4, verse 1, he affirms that they are walking and pleasing God, as they should, but then tells them to excel still more. Later in the same chapter, he commends them for their love of the brethren, but urges them to excel still more. 1 Thessalonians 4, verse 10. I think this can be, I can think of some examples, and it's very relevant to our neighborhood group coaches, because I think sometimes we feel so obligated to just get the weekly meeting in. that through the rush of life, we're fighting against all these forces that are trying to make that weekly meeting go away. We're able to combat that, and then we get the house clean, we get dinner done, we open up the door, and then everybody comes over. So you've excelled at getting to that weekly meeting, and that's super important. But I would challenge you, as Paul challenged, to excel still more. What does that look like for your group? Well, it could personally be for you, the leader, to begin mentoring and discipling an assistant coach, someone who could help lighten the load for you, someone who can be an extension of your leadership, someone who you can start pouring into, and that will help your group excel still more. So lining up an assistant coach, I would push some of the other things down to other group members so that you can lead others through some progress. For example, sometimes we will divvy out the assignment of signing up for our next service project to just one of the members of the group, so they can feel ownership and pride with the group that they have accomplished something, they've led the group to something. I would count that as excelling still more. We can have the weekly meetings every week. We can fight the forces that fight us to put those on. But once we overcome those and we have that relationship time with our group members, let's not forget there's opportunities to excel still more. Continuing on. He commended the Thessalonians for their faith. Lots of repeat. I apologize. Let me scroll down. Here we go. Evidently, the Thessalonians took this to heart because Paul commends them again in the opening of his second letter. We ought always to give thanks to God for you, brethren, as is only fitting, because your faith is greatly enlarged, and the love of each one of you toward one another grows even greater. Therefore, we ourselves speak proudly of you among churches of God for your perseverance of faith in the midst of all your persecutions and afflictions which you endure. That's coming from 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, verses 3 and 4. As proud as he was of their growth and progress, he still encouraged them to not grow weary of doing good. 2 Thessalonians 3, verse 13. There's a recurring pattern of affirmation and exhortation in Paul's leadership. He provided a dynamic balance between challenging his followers to grow and acknowledging their process. He was affirming but not content. This is one of the most important sentences to me personally, and therefore I roll it down to you guys as a challenge to reread this particular section here. There's a reoccurring pattern of affirmation and exhortation in Paul's leadership. He provided a dynamic balance between challenging his followers to grow and acknowledging their progress. So, for you guys, I want you to think about the progress that you've made with your neighborhood groups. For some of you, maybe you just survived the first 6 months of hosting the group or leading the group on your own. For others, you've been going for a couple years now. And I'll tell you right now, on day 6, that this sentence is probably one of the most critical ones that we may come across, because it does something. It says that I am to challenge you to grow, and you're to challenge those that you follow to grow. So what does that mean? It means that growth as a goal, or growth as a motive, or growth as an objective and a part of your life mission must be present. If you do not value growing as an individual, both in your head knowledge, in terms of maybe it's Bible studies or devotionals or other leadership content and scripture, if you go after that, that's one thing. You go after the heart knowledge when you start to actually apply this stuff. And so you need to have some growth areas, both in expanding your knowledge and expanding the application of that. And so through the Life Mission Plan, I want to challenge you guys to think about your own personal growth, because growth is absolutely critical. to reaching more people. We have to grow individually. We have to improve individually. We have to lead ourselves first before we can lead others. And I think that really can come through a focused growth plan. Not many of us have a growth plan or a life mission plan. So these are the types of things that are required of us. If we want to lead like we've never led before, then we're going to have to do things we've never done before. And so keep this in mind, this idea of growing and me challenging you and you challenging your growth, or your group to grow, is not going to go away. It's going to be a reoccurring theme as we head through the training and development season here. So remember, Paul was affirming, but never content, always growing. Maintaining the balance between affirmation and challenge is crucial. If we are always challenging, but never recognizing achievements, we risk driving our followers to resentment, burnout, and even quitting. We need to plan for, generate, and celebrate the wins. Let me say that again. We need to plan for, generate, and celebrate the wins. Let the achievements sink in, bask in them for a while, then consolidate those gains and use them as fuel to excel still more and press on to the next challenge. We must affirm and appreciate the contributions of others, yet not allow them or ourselves to become complacent. I love this whole devotional here, guys, because while I think it's so critical that we need to appreciate those we lead, I think it's as critical that we challenge each other and challenge those that we lead in our own growth process, never to become complacent. So some pretty good sections in this devotional, and here's some questions you can reflect and act on. I'll post them in the Facebook forum. If you guys want to get a discussion going on these this weekend, that would be great. If you're choosing not to participate in the discussion, that's okay. I just highly encourage you guys, because once we start kicking around some of these ideas, we may flesh out some ideas or some concepts or some ways to apply this stuff that maybe we wouldn't have thought of before. So if you've got a few minutes to just reflect on these questions and maybe just answer one of them for the group or pose another question so that we can keep the conversation going this weekend. Thanks for everything you guys are doing. Here's the questions we should reflect on. Number 1, where have you allowed complacency to creep in? Number 2, what new challenges need to be addressed? Number 3, where do you need to celebrate a win today? Number 4, where do you need to build on a win and press on? Those last two are great. Let's celebrate the win, but let's also figure out what next steps are and how we're going to press on. So think about where you've allowed complacency, what are the new challenges you need to address, where are the wins that you need to celebrate, and where's a win that you need to build on and press on with. So that's it. That's the end of our Day 6 devotional, Affirming But Not Content, Part 1. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out and do this. I really, just recording these videos for you guys has just reminded me of the discipline that it takes to lead others. And I certainly appreciate all your guys' efforts, and I want to help you guys get better. I want to challenge you. I want to come alongside you. I want to do everything I can to make leading a neighborhood group as fulfilling and as challenging to your personal growth as possible. So track me down this weekend. If you see me, let me know. Give me some feedback on the devotional. This video series, portion of it may or may not be helpful to you, but let me know if you're liking or enjoying the weekly or daily devotional. And I just want to encourage you guys, have a great weekend. Enjoy time with your family. Enjoy your time serving at church this weekend. Do it with a smile. Go a little further this weekend. Maybe seek out someone on campus that you've never met. Find someone wandering around and just go and introduce yourself to them. Maybe if they look lost, give someone a hug. Just go a little bit extra, a little further. Do a little extra this weekend to serve the Lord and to love those who come into our place called the church. Thanks so much for everything you guys are doing, and we'll see you soon.